It's the Exit 52 podcast presented by Jimmy's Seafood, the only Baltimore podcast. I wasn't going to say contest. What contest are we doing? Podcast. We're doing a podcast.
We could do a contest.
We could do a contest. We should probably do a contest at some point here soon for the fans. That would make a lot of sense. We'll talk about that later. What I was going to say, the only Baltimore podcast that has a co-host playing majorly hurt this week. Banks, you want to give the listeners a review of all of your medical ailments and really the kind of performance you're putting on for the listeners?
I'm in a fragile state here. I'm kind of just a broken human. I've developed in my late 20s and early 30s here what was an annual ritual of just throwing out my back, my upper back and my neck. This first time really flared up, I think, was on my 28th birthday, which was opening day. I bent down to unfold my scooter. Yes, I have my own scooter to go to work that morning.
Yeah, wow.
And my neck absolutely locked up. And it just leaves me absolutely crippled where I can't turn my head. So I'm kind of just in an invisible neck brace right now, trying not to move too quickly or else just a sharp pain shoots up my neck. So this seems to happen about once a year. It happened in early January this year. It's happening again here in mid-July. So it's becoming a semi-annual ritual, which means I'm washed. That's exactly what it means. I'm washed. So this is my life now. I am miserable. So yeah, well said. I'm playing hurt.
RDT, you said this happens to you too.
I get it a decent amount. I get it maybe once every 6 weeks where I'll feel something like Brian said. I'll either do something and you kind of just feel the sharp pain and then you slowly feel it like creep up your shoulder into your neck. And it's just like, you're like, well, I guess I'm not turning right for the next week. And it definitely doesn't help when you're carrying around a 45-pound child, on your shoulders and who always wants to be carried. So that definitely does not help. Again, it's just a big, that 30th birthday is a big heating pad birthday.
Yeah, I've kind of seen this coming for a few weeks now. I've been on a steady rotation of throwing about 100 pitches every 10 days or so, along with a touch of home improvement projects, including sanding a ceiling and popcorn ceiling and such, which I think the two combined, I kind of felt like almost like a disc in my neck was kind of like on the fritz, but I was avoiding that total slip out. And then just like in the shower, just turned my head this morning and I felt a tiny twinge, nothing too bad. But I was like, oh, that didn't feel good. Like, I hope this isn't something. And then I just sat at my desk today. As the day went on, it just got worse and worse to the point where it physically hurt to both sit back or to lean forward in order to look at my computer screen or try to sit back and alleviate the pain. And now I'm just walking around like the grandpa from Hey Arnold. So
I was going to say, you're Ron Swanson. You remember that episode of Parks and Rec?
I do. It's
he couldn't move.
Strikingly similar. It's very similar to that feeling. I'm not even kidding. I wish I was joking about this, but it's exactly like that.
No, I believe you. Again, it's like the second you feel a sneeze coming on, you do everything terrifying in your power to don't do it. Don't. You cannot sneeze or you will just ravage your neck.
I haven't gotten to that bridge yet, but it's the kind of thing where if I'm laying down horizontally, I have to finagle the right way to get up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to describe, but things that I do in my midsection, it shoots up my back where it's I have to roll over onto my knees and get my hands underneath me and then try to find the right way to get up without exacerbating it.
It's just, it's just what happens. It's father time comes for all of us.
Yeah. I'm glad that this is happening now and not a month from now, because there's bigger things to, there's big contests out there to be in peak physical condition for. And we could talk about that for the next month if we want.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I mean, this is certainly super interesting considering what comes from in a month. I think longtime listeners of this show know that me and Banks play in an annual Ryder Cup style golf tournament called the Captain's Cup. Last year, this podcast was united in that competition. This year, the podcast is against each other in that competition, as I am on Team USA and Banks plays for Team Europe. I'm sure I'll end up on Live at some point, considering he's playing for Team Europe. But so we'll see how you physically are. I mean, 2 years ago, you fell off a deck about a week before this thing. So really, it can't get any worse than that. And then you hit the ball straight into the woods on the first tee and looked like you couldn't move. So at least getting this out of the way a month before the competition is probably a shrewd move on your part.
Yeah. It was the ice back that was the only reason I was able to play that tournament that year. I would say I'm in a similar state physically as I was that week. But I've gone through the ringer on this particular injury before. It's a couple of days of misery, and then it's like another week where it's like I feel this still, but like I have mobility back and I'm able to be a human again. And then within 10 days, it's totally gone. So no worries as it relates to a month from now.
Team Europe's fans hope that proves to be the case as we move towards the Captain's Cup. For our listeners that are under 30, this has to have been a very jarring first about 5 minutes of the show. I can confirm that as someone that turned 30 in January, none of this has happened to me yet. So there is some hope, at least for your first 6 or so months after you turn 30.
Built different.
That, yeah, maybe. I'm knock on wood. We'll see.
You got that dog in
you? Might have it. Just absolutely barking at me like little bees just sitting in my stomach right now. That's the dog that's going on in here. Speaking of people that aren't watched, though, let's talk about the MLB draft. Jackson Holliday, the number 1 overall pick by the Baltimore Orioles, son of Matt Holliday. If you haven't seen that at this point, you just simply aren't following any type of sports in Baltimore. The high school stats were ridiculous. He's not one of the guys we talked about as much with Masters Pullman kind of last week when we talked about the draft. But clearly was one of the guys they were considering. We did talk about that at number 1. Drew Jones was thrown around. Tamar Johnson was the betting favorite by the time of the draft. Brooks Lee was the betting favorite 24 to 48 hours for the draft, the shortstop out of Cal Poly. They end up on Jackson Holliday. And not on a cost-saving deal. Looks like all reports are they're going to pay, the full slot or whatever, around $8 million. They're going to give him all the money he deserves. As Juan Soto walks it off here in the home run derby. Sorry to your guy, Julio. Tough for Nationals fans who are going to see him on another team in about 2 weeks.
Scott Boras is just watching that just throwing another top 100 prospect or something.
That's driving up the price a little bit more. I love the home run derby. But Jackson Holliday goes, I mean, this is the one thing that there were some people I saw that were upset that this wasn't Drew Jones or Tamar Johnson or whoever. The one hard part about the MLB draft, even when you're picking high and you know everybody that you can potentially pick, is how to project a high school player out potentially 3 to 4 years before you even see him in the bigs. So that's why it's like hard to get like mad that you didn't get the guy you wanted or whatever. But Jackson Holliday seemingly brings everything to the table. Mike Elias said they felt like he was just the guy that had the most potential in the draft and had all the skills there. And at this point, I think you got to trust the guy. Seems like a good kid. And the Orioles take their first like super high school player in terms of like, their top pick since Mike Elias took over.
Yeah, he was one of the guys. I mean, obviously I knew he was one of those 5 guys that we talked about with Paul, but I was not thinking that it was going to be him at all until I saw the tweet from Passan, maybe 3 seconds before they announced the pick. But again, it's like, and then you read everything about him. You listen to Elias talk about him, and it's like maybe he was just the best player. Like maybe he was the guy that the Orioles thought was the best player. And like again, it sounded like, so I thought it was going to be Tamar Johnson. It sounded like he wasn't even in the conversation with Elias. Elias mentioned Brooks Lee. Drew Jones, obviously, and then Jackson Holliday. And it sounded like from what he was saying that he was their guy all along, and he has the perfect combination of defense. I mean, his numbers, and I get it, high school numbers they're high school numbers. It's not against great competition, but he hit 685 with an on-base percentage of 749. He had 89 hits. He broke JT Realmuto's national high school record with 89 hits in 40 games, which is unbelievable. Again, I don't care what level you're at. That's significant. And someone, I forget where I heard it or where I was reading it, but someone was like, you're never going to forget how to track a ball. And like, he's just been able to do it so well. And again, he's only going to get better. 29 doubles, 6 triples, 17 home runs, 74 runs scored, 79 RBI, 30 stolen bases. I mean, the kid he's an unbelievable offensive talent. And it sounds like, again, Elias said he's going to stick at shortstop. I didn't know what they were going to do with Gunnar. And, again, they've got these guys. They've got Jordan Westberg. They've got Taron Vavra. They have a ton of infield prospects, and it's a really good problem to have because you can do whatever you want with your infield. But it sounds like he's going to stick at shortstop. And it's just he seems like a very exciting player. Again, I think everyone got wrapped up in the Drew Jones overrated viral clip. I was talking to our buddy Jake Luke last night, and I said if that overrated clip of Drew Jones where he hits that home run when the kids are chanting overrated, if that doesn't happen, we may not think that highly of him. And he goes, and Jake said, that's the Clowney hit against Michigan. That's what that is. And I said, perfect. I said, you nailed it. Again, I mean, people were wrapped up in that. If his name was Drew Smith, maybe they take him because, again, there's not the name. People were wrapped up in that. Again, I wanted Tamar Johnson. I thought the scouting report on Tamar Johnson was that he had his batting eye and his presence at the plate was a mix between Wade Boggs and Vlad Sr. Like that is a sexual
what a comp
scouting report. Like, sign me up for that. Just instantly.
What a comp.
Yeah, well, we can talk about the comps later. I love these high school comps. They're like,
yeah, the comps are so good.
A high school pitcher from Texas, kid was in geometry 4 weeks ago, and they're like, I get a lot of Roger Clemens and Nolan Ryan in this kid. Like, no, you fucking don't. Like, no, you don't. You don't. Yeah, but again, everything again. I think the people who were like, oh, they went under slot, they did this, and the Orioles are being cheap again. Like, no, I think they got a really, really good player. And obviously we know with the baseball draft, it's impossible to grade this out 24 hours after. We have to wait 2 or 3 years. Again, I mean, he may not even be here. He may be a trade ship, like Paul was saying, and stuff like that. But I'm happy with the pick. I don't think there was any – if it wasn't one of those top 5 guys, then I could have seen people being disappointed. I would have accepted that. But this, I think it's like, hey, how about – again, we have no reason not to trust Elias. I think this was the right pick. He seems like a great kid. Again, we know the bloodlines. Again, I think we just welcome Jackson Holliday into Baltimore with open arms. And, I mean, I think he's going to be an absolute stud. So they've added a lot of good players since then too. So, again, I mean, in Jackson Holliday we trust. He's an Oriole. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that there was so much obsession before the draft that the Orioles would do some sort of finagling with going under slot or messing with the money. All the reports are, like I said before, that they're not finagling with the money with the top pick. Like Holiday is a Boris guy. Like he's getting the money. Like they're not paying him. The pick value is, I have it in front of me, is $8.84 million. Like they're not going to pay him like 6.5. Like he is going to get like in that 8 to 9 range or whatever that may be. I don't know what the exact number will be. I think the most interesting part of the draft, like you said, it's like hard to project these guys out. So it's hard for us to be like, we analyze the Ravens with the NFL draft. It's like, all right, you're going to plug in Rashad Bateman here, and it makes sense. Like he will step on the field in however many months and be a guy. You don't do that in the MLB draft. Very rare. Like rarely do you get the conversation that was going on with the Kumar Rocker pick where they're like, oh, could we see this guy in like 3 months? That just doesn't really happen.
Like Brendan, or what's his name? Brandon Finnegan did it. Like David Price did it. Like there's some guys that do it. It's normally pitchers and they normally come up as relievers. It almost does not happen with position players. Yeah, it can't happen.
So
it's never going to happen.
The thing that I thought was interesting based on our conversation last week with Paul in terms of talking about what the Orioles do and the patterns of how they bring players in and things like that. And we're now 10 rounds through the draft. I thought we were seeing a pretty significant pattern when they went Holliday, a guy they see as like a power hitting, left-handed hitting shortstop. And then they went with Dylan Beavers from California, or from California. I just have it in front of me as California, from Cal, who's also a power hitting left-handed hitter. I was like, wow, they're just going to stack power hitting left-handed hitters after they made the adjustment to the ballpark. That's interesting. They then took all right-handed hitters after that. So they didn't really do that. They did get Judd Fabian, who they were rumored to take last year, who's another power hitting outfielder who went back to school after getting drafted around this same spot. He got drafted like in the 40s right before the Orioles by the Red Sox last year.
Yeah, he was a second-round pick, yeah.
And they got him, so clearly they love him if they were going to take him last year and then came back. And I think they may pay him over slot at that spot. So that was interesting to get him. They took more pitchers than I think people would think so far. They've taken 5 pitchers. They came out of the media stuff today that they think all 5 of those guys project to be starters. So maybe sort of injecting a little bit of life into an Orioles system that I would say, if you look at their prospect rankings, outside of DL and Grayson, lacks a little depth in the starting pitching department. So they've clearly injected some guys in there. I watched Preston Johnson pitch for Mississippi State, enjoyed him. Watched Cameron Weston pitch live for Michigan, was good. The Terps ripped everybody up, and they did some things to him, but not a ton. Like, he was good.
And one of the interesting guys is, I'm sure you're going to talk about, is the Nolan, what's his name, McLean? The two-way guy from Oklahoma State.
Who they said could be a two-way guy.
472-foot opposite field home run.
Yeah.
A
lot of tools in that kid. 6'2",
Let's do that.
But they think his highest ceiling's on the mound.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they end up doing with him. The Orioles have not delved into like the Brendan McKay thing where you like let a guy try to figure it out on both sides. So we'll see what they do with Nolan McLean. But yeah, like you said, it's hard to. I was trying to think of like how we were talking about last week of like looking at patterns and how the Orioles, and clearly they addressed some pitching depth. They went shortstop, outfield, third base, outfield, catcher, outfield, shortstop with the position players. Kid from Stanford they picked in the 9th round is like more of a defensive running guy. So, I think the top 4 picks are, the all position players is what they've done. Again, they went with a high school player they thought was the best, and then went with 3 power hitting college bats. Like Max Wagner was the ACC player of the year, hit like mid-20s dongs. Like Fabian is a power hitting guy, and Beavers was too. So Beavers, I don't know how they pronounce it, but so yeah, took 2 guys from Texas. Love the Longhorns. Hook them. So that's the draft. That's the draft so far. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts on these Orioles picks.
Like you said, not particularly. It's baseball is just like such a crapshoot. Well, not crapshoot, but it's such a, you don't know what you got until 2-3 years. It's you get excited about the guys, you learn about them, and then you forget about them for the most part for a while. Us as Orioles fans, the last handful of years, because it's all we have tended to stick with these players a little bit more closely. Because like I said, it's all you got, and it's the future and everything. As we have some players here that are, emerging and playing in the bigs, and we actually have a team, 500 baseball team here. Our focus is back on the big league team now. So to a strong degree, we're going to keep these names in the back of our minds a bit, or at least the ones outside of Jackson Holliday, and kind of keep an eye on them and hope for the best. But how closely are we really going to look at them? And at what point do you know who won, who lost, all this stuff with this draft? I mean, who's to say? So
it's impossible to know. I mean, that you summed it up pretty well. I mean, it's like
dumb that people even try and put grade. Like I saw an article today, like, oh, here we're grading the top pick. No, like stop. We can't do this.
People doing like the mock draft scores just to see who was the most accurate and all that stuff. It's like there's so many factors at play in the MLB draft that just have nothing really to do per se with like the order of best player, or I don't know. It's not so as need based as
correct.
It's just not.
the people that are really in the know are sometimes able to grade based on like value. Like if you were able to like use your money in the right way to like do what the Orioles did a few years ago, where they were like able to get a Kobe Mayo because they stacked up their bonus pool money and they went and got a kid over slot down in the draft. So they waited and they still got who they wanted. Like that stuff you can sort of grade. But like you said, like you can't go like A, B, C down the line, like an NFL mock draft where like everyone is playing from the same like set of rules in terms like the Orioles are playing with more strength because of their amount of bonus pool money than everybody else in the draft. So they can do different things that other teams can't do. Now you could say, well, the Orioles should get credit for like building their draft bonus pool or whatever. But like, I can't claim to sit here and like be aware enough of being like, oh man, like when the Orioles take Trace Bright from Auburn, of they're probably saving money taking him in the 5th round because he's a senior, so he has no leverage. So he probably signs maybe a little under slot from 426,000. All of the things I've just said in the last 3 sentences, I've lost 99% of people that care. So it's like it's just a hard draft to talk about because you're getting into the weeds on like when I watched the whole draft today and it's like because we're waiting for Maryland guys and it's like that's a cost-saving pick in the 8th round because they're taking a senior sign who, has no leverage. So he's going to sign. You can sign him under slot or do whatever. Like that's some of the stuff that's going on. And like you said, Banks, like nobody's following it can read. Like it's hard to read into it unless you're really like locked in. And I can't say like I'm that locked in. I just have followed the MLB draft for long enough to kind of understand it. But Jackson Holliday is exciting. Hopefully he's a guy that comes up in 3 years to just put the cherry on top of an Orioles system that has produced a bunch of guys that have gotten them back into contention. And I love all of the young Jackson Holliday stories. That stuff is kind of fun with Matt Holliday. So can't wait for him to get shown in the stands like 400 times during Jackson's MLB debut. Speaking of the big league club, the Orioles, if I had told you, RDT, that the Orioles would finish the first half of the season and head into the All-Star break at 46-46, what would you have said?
I mean, we would have had you drug tested. Like you would have had to go into some sort of mental institution. But yeah, I mean, again, and that was another reason I saw people last night being like, there's not a chance that I'm going to complain about Jackson Holliday just because of how fun and how great this first half was. Like people are just, again, it was awesome that the Orioles had the number 1 pick in the draft yesterday, and it like wasn't even really a story the whole week up until people were just so excited about that 10-game winning streak. And yeah, it sucked. It came to an end. And they lost that series in Tampa, but I mean, they're playing the second best baseball out of anyone in the league right now. Like the Mariners have won 14 straight, I think it was. But again, I mean, the Orioles, just the run they went on, I think, like we've talked about the last couple of weeks, it brought people back and people are excited and, they're talking about the Orioles. They're going out and watching the Orioles. So, yeah, for them to finish at 500 is, I mean, I think it's amazing what they've done. And again, the turnaround, and who knows what they're going to do the rest of the season. But again, I mean, this first half was the best baseball they've played in 4 years, 5 years, like they played awesome. They played really, really well. We've seen everything that we've talked about the last 2 years. We've seen it all come together. The farm system is coming up and producing, we're seeing these young guys and they're coming up and showing us who they are. And we're still waiting on a couple more of them. They're knocking on the door. Or, our guy DL had 10 Ks and 1 walk I think yesterday. So again, like more guys are coming. It's just going to get better. So again, I mean, this second half we could have a lot more. As fun as the first half was, I think we'd have a lot of fun in the second half. And if they hang around and they're in the wild card race for the entire, if they hang around until mid-September, I mean, I think people would love that. I think it would be awesome. And then it would get people that much more excited going into next year. And then again, that's when you get hey, we're going to have Gunnar start at third. We're going to have Jordan Westbrook start at short. We're going to have Grayson on the mound to start opening day. We're going to have Adley back there. You spend some money and you have a club that people are legitimately excited for. And then I think that's when you start getting the buzz for a wild card spot and stuff like that. So I don't think this first half, it could not have gone any better than I think it did. Obviously it could have, but with the Orioles, I don't think it could have gone any better.
I'm going to stop you right there. I don't think it could have gone any better. I honestly think this is like the optimal scenario, except for the John Means injury. I think this is like the optimal record scenario for the Orioles. Like this is the peak of what they could have done. Like, yes, like could they
Could have
now?
gone 58 and 24 or whatever, but
Yeah, but like realistically, like this is this is an incredible job by them at the end of the first half. What I think is super fascinating moving forward here, and we can continue to reflect a bit as as we talk about what's gonna happen moving forward. So the trade deadline is August 2nd, which I think is like a super key date, obviously, if you're following this team because of the potential ramifications of what they could do. Leading into that, they play 7 games, three against the Yankees and 4 against Tampa Bay, all at home, ending on July 28th. I think what they do in those 7 games isn't going to like totally determine what they do in and around August 2nd. But the difference between like 1-6 and 5-2 or 4-3 in those games, I think could be a marker for the front office to think, okay, like if it goes this way against these teams right now, there's no need for us to like go all in on continuing to try to do this. Now, if they go, let's say 4-3, they then play 9 consecutive games against teams they're going to be favored to beat: Cincinnati, Texas, Pittsburgh. That then sets up for a situation where if they're over 500 or at 500 at the end of that, I guess they can't be the end of a 7-game stretch if we had 500, but if they're, 1 game under, 1 game over, 1 game under, you have a stretch of games again where you can go like 7-2 or 8-1, depending on obviously what happens. Maybe that then changes what you're doing. By the way, tickets available in Cincinnati on Sunday, July 31st, according to ESPN, for $4, just in case anyone's looking to get in there. I think that's going to be fascinating to watch what they do, what the record is leading into at Cincinnati, July 29th to the 31st, which is a series you could easily go in there and sweep. They're playing a little bit better. They took a series at New York last week, but that is going to be pretty fascinating to see. And maybe that could be me totally being off, and they've already have the plan. They already know exactly what they're doing. They don't care what the record is, blah, 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 blah. But like, you've got a legitimate shot to then make a run into a lot of AL East games starting, August 8th, home for Toronto, where it becomes a little bit of a tougher road down the stretch.
I mean, and there's also, like you said, that those New York games after the break, there are people who are like, I'm seeing lobbying on Twitter being like, guys, get out there, like come out and support this team again. Like don't let them come in and take over the ballpark again. And again, this is like the time where you need to like come in and be like, hey, we're not going to get pushed around. I mean, again, if they can win, what is it, a 4-game series against the Yankees or 3?
It's a 3-game series against the Yankees and then a 4-game series against Tampa.
I mean, if they can win that series against the Yankees, I think that would be great. Again, start off that season, that the second half just hot like that. And like Banks said, I think Friday, I think that is a perfect spot for DL Hall to make his first start. I think that would be awesome. Again, I know we talked to Paul last week and they talked about getting his walk numbers down. He walked 1 guy yesterday. It's like you want to get fans excited.
You don't want to walk guys, but like it's like complaining about, I don't know. It's just nitpicking at that point for reasons not to call a guy up when you look at all the other things he's doing.
Yeah. I think they said so. He came out and said that he thought he was tipping his pitches, and since then he has 40 strikeouts in 4 games. Like that, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty damn good, pretty damn good. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks. Like you said, the Reds may not even be that team that we saw sweep or take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, because who knows what they're going to do at the deadline. They may trade Castillo, they may trade all the a couple guys. So it's going to be a very fun. And again, I think I'll be there August 6th, Saturday. That's the like some 90s concert with Smash Mouth, Drew Hill, and Cisco. So I think that should be a game.
Is that actually happening?
Yeah.
Wow.
That game is, I mean, I'm going for the concert. I forget the game. Orioles Pirates with Smash Mouth.
When the Orioles are 8 games over 500 and Cisco's doing the thong song in the middle of center field, that's going to be a peak moment in baseball history.
At least it's not that one dude singing about like the beaches of Ocean City and then back up to Rice.
Yeah, that's right.
After Trey walks off the Angels.
Yeah, who was that guy?
I don't fucking know. I don't know.
I've heard that song, I think. I'd heard that song like on YouTube before.
Say probably in like a doctor's waiting room or something.
On an elevator.
Yeah. On a hold. Yeah, you were on hold with Geico or something.
Yeah, I was on hold with the Maryland Parking Authority, paying off a ticket, and there's like, oh, let's make you feel better about about the state. Yeah, I mean, there seems to be some excitement building for that Yankee series. I hope that the Orioles can, play well. Obviously, the Yankees have been, the juggernaut of Major League Baseball, but over the past, I would say 3 weeks, they have not been as dominant per se. So we'll see. Maybe the Orioles are able to take a series and you're kind of off and running, and the Magic. You almost didn't want the All-Star break to come because it felt like you just wanted the Magic to continue. Even this weekend, we can talk about this weekend against the Rays. I'm not far away from a series win there. They just couldn't get all the way there. But they're like, I've said this like 400 times, and I swear I will stop saying it. I just keep waiting for the game where one of the good teams beats them like 13-1, and we're just like, I guess, we're back. There's so much scar. I have so much scar tissue. I can't get it out of my mind, and it just never happens. It's great.
Well, it happened in Toronto, like that one of the early games in Toronto. They lost like 12-1 or 12-2 or something like that. But then they went out and they rocked Gosman the next day, and they ended up winning that series. So yeah, it's just not. And I think I read too. I forget what this. I think it was 8-4, one of the finals this weekend, and they were saying that was the first game that the Orioles have lost this month by more than a run, which was like, that's unbelievable. Like, it took them that long to do that. So yeah, it's just, again, we've said it billions of times. It's a different team. They're a lot of fun, and it's I don't know what the turnaround was. I think we can all point to a similar situation or a similar call up, but everything is just clicking, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, we can take a quick peek, and we're now 46 games into the Adley Rutschman era. I'll give you guys the stats here. Sitting 222 with a 302 on base percentage. He's slugging 420. The big number for him is the 15 doubles in 46 games. He's got 5 home runs, 17 walks to 34 strikeouts. The WAR is 1.3. It feels like anecdotally behind the plate, he has just been an enormous improvement. I just based on, with everything he does back there and just an overall temperament and confidence, feels like there's just more confidence of the guys throwing it to him. And I think for a guy, and we talked about this, the average might be a little bit down here as he starts, but like the power numbers are something that's there that makes you think, okay, this is like there. And then when he hits for a little more average, I mean, if he raises his average to 270, I mean, he's probably an all-star catcher considering the power numbers. So
yeah, and I mean, we saw the power. What was it, Saturday or Sunday? Saturday. I think the pinch hits in the 8th, game-tying home run, comes in, and I think in the ninth or extra innings, I think it was the 9th, and he throws out Randy Rosarena trying to steal third, and it's just like, again, the guy's been in the game for 1 inning, and he was unbelievable. And again, he tied the game, and then he had the go-ahead sac fly in extras on Sunday, I believe. I'm getting all my games mixed up, but I mean, he roped that double in Wrigley, which again, we didn't even talk about that. That series was awesome for the Orioles to go to Wrigley like that with the amount of fans that were there too. Like, you could hear "Let's Go O's" chants. People were going nuts. You could see the orange everywhere. It seemed like an awesome atmosphere. And again, I mean, they put on a hell of a show out there in Wrigley, so that was great. It was that winning streak was awesome, and I think it really injected a lot of excitement into the fan base.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thanks. Do you have any Orioles thoughts as we head into the second half?
It's the stuff we keep saying every week, like just the fact that they're not getting blown out, even though they lost a series in Tampa. They played competitive games. They had their chances. You get a little frustrated that they let a game or two slip away there, but all in all, you gotta be thrilled that they kind of took the momentum of that win streak. They beat up on some mediocre teams in the mix there. Tampa was considered to be a playoff team this year, and they're in position to do that. But to go down there and kind of face the teams that we're going to try to chase down and be competitive and make them fight for it, like it's a message. And in the second half here, we have a great opportunity to open against the Yankees and continue sending that message. And, I think a lot of teams, as they looked at the schedule before the season, they might pick out parts of their schedule where they're like, okay, we might have a little bit of a breather here and we can kind of catch our breath here. And the Orioles are coming to town. That's not the case. It's not all fun and games when you come to Baltimore. So I think that's just in itself an exciting thing for anybody who's an Orioles fan to experience, and the energy that the fan base is showing, especially there in Chicago. It's awesome. It's just awesome stuff. So I'm excited to see how these guys play the next 2 months, for better or worse, and even more excited for 2023 and beyond.
I think the overall thing is, like, normally at this point of the year, it's July 18th. You're counting down the days towards Ravens spring training. Good Lord, Ravens training camp. My, oh my. And this time it's like you're counting down those days, but that's way easier when the Orioles are good. That is like, it's like you're not even thinking about it. And then when the Ravens are in training camp, it's just another thing on the platter here as a Baltimore sports fan. So that in itself makes the Orioles exciting. This was a fun last 3 weeks with the draft and with the run to over 500. I mean, we obviously were recording when they got to 500. Watching them go over 500 was amazing. Like, it was awesome. Now at 500 heading into the second half, only feels like it's getting bigger and better. Mike Elias said it today. He doesn't think the organization has been this healthy in a long time. And there's just no way you can say he's wrong at least from a on the field performance, combined with what seems to be a fully stocked farm system with a philosophy and a plan and an ability to, develop players and also identify and scout guys, the top line guys, and get the right guys into the organization. It feels like top to bottom, they're moving in the right direction. Obviously, there's a squabble over the ownership of the team. So I won't say that the entire organization is fully healthy, but, from that perspective, and it kind of makes the job Mike Elias is doing more impressive. And maybe it's just a situation where there's just no one standing in his way because there's bigger fish to fry for the people running the show, from a money perspective. And Mike Elias is just able to operate in this situation where he's got carte blanche, which, based on what he's done so far, give him all the carte and all the blanche from my perspective, because he's doing a pretty good job. So hopefully that continues and people get back in the yard and we have a thriving baseball team to match the thriving football team that plays, a stone's throw away. Not much to report on that. We a couple of weeks ago, I guess we have to get this in. I'll get it in real quick. Ravens signed Justin Houston a 1-year deal. I know that happened a million years ago, but we took that week off. I mean, we talked about this. They had needed to add some more pass rushing presence. Justin Houston's a guy.
He's a guy. He knows what they're doing there in Baltimore. He's part of the culture. He's the D-line did not, from what I've heard, impress much in these meeting camps. So I think that kind of sounded the alarms that we gotta pad that. Got to get a guy back that knows what he's doing. We had the whole Derek Wolfe saga ended like six weeks ago or so. I think that was another sign that we needed to get another body in there. Hopefully Justin Houston.
That's still so bizarre, by the way.
Yeah, that was one of the weirdest stories that we can remember. What an era, the Derek Wolfe era in Baltimore.
Seriously.
He's one of those guys that came into Baltimore, and this season was such a wacky one that it's hard to really judge anyone's performance because everyone was kind of playing with an arm tied behind their back because these pass rushers were supposed to be, blitz heavy with the strong cornerback play behind them, and they didn't have that last season. So there was a lot of people and we're kind of doing it here. We're kind of like ho-hum about Justin Houston, but who knows? There might be a chance that once he's got some more guys around him and a good secondary that can cover guys and, give him some time to get after the quarterback and wreak some havoc, like maybe there's a better Justin Houston in a Baltimore Raven uniform than the one we saw in 2021.
Yeah, I think they have to continue to add options down there to improve that position. And Justin Houston's a guy that's been there, done that, and it gives you kind of a veteran leader down there as well. So I think it's a signing that makes sense, doesn't cost you that much money, and you move on. I think obviously the Ravens, news and notes is going to be really getting going here as we head towards training camp, some interesting positional battles. So that'll be fun to break down as we head towards the season. We are not that far away from football. It's kind of wild as we get in here towards the end of July. So cannot wait to get back to the fervent Ravens talk that doesn't involve players feuding with media members or former players or whatever, the shenanigans that go on Ravens Twitter, seemingly every single day. Lamar Jackson's emoji usage could use like a full podcast breakdown. We don't have that kind of time.
It's been a long off season, a really long off season. Rookies report tomorrow. So we're back.
Yeah. J.K. Dobbins. Will J.K. Dobbins be ready for week 1?
Yes. Per J.K. Dobbins.
Per J.K. Dobbins.
He's the source.
What a tweet. I'm tired of being quiet. Great. I love when people start.
He and Jesus have been grinding.
I hope he's ready.
Fake ass doctors.
I wonder if Rappaport will take
fake
a
star. We don't know what those 2 last letters were.
They could, yeah.
That'd be amazing if Rappaport just took a huge victory lap if he ended up on the pup list.
It would be something. It would. He doubled down on it. So there was like a 25% walk back, but it was still kind of a dig your heels in kind of report there. So
Rappaport,
who knows? We'll see.
Knows him better than he knows himself. When the Ravens return, they will obviously return to M&T Bank Stadium. Our starting 5 draft, I don't think that will be picked. We'll see. Maybe one of you guys will pick M&T Bank Stadium in this draft. Is stadium names. So best stadium name, starting 5 draft presented by Fed Thrill. Obviously we're fully into the middle of summer, and you need sunglasses. Go get some Fed Thrillies. Use the promo code Activity2 to get 20% off your Fed Thrill sunglasses. You can use them at a stadium. I was rocking sunglasses at the Charm City match on Saturday night between Arsenal and Everton. Nice to see big-time soccer back at M&T Bank Stadium. I wish there were World Cup games coming up in our future, but that is not the case. Marlon Humphrey had 2 Arsenal players on his Studio 44 podcast that the Ravens do with him. I'm interested to hear what they talked about. That must have, that I might give that a listen when I drive to work tomorrow. Okay, so stadium names. I have the first pick. Banks, you have the second pick. And RDT, you have the wraparound to start the draft. This is an interesting one. I don't feel like there is a go-to number 1 pick here. And to be honest, I don't really know where I'm going here. So this could be a little off the board. I don't know if this is worthy of the number 1 pick. I'm going to take the Swamp at Florida. I've always thought that was a really, really good name for that particular stadium. And that's the one that's jumping out to me as I look at my list. So that's the one I'm taking. I'm just taking the Swamp. Real name, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. That fucking sucks. But the Swamp is really, really cool. No one has ever heard it called Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. It's the Swamp. I'm taking the Swamp.
Well, real quick, did you say why we're doing the stadium names? Did we say that?
Oh, no, I didn't. So I fill in the people. Sorry, I missed that.
Because, what is it? Heinz Field is no longer Heinz Field. They took the ketchup bottles down.
Correct. That's right. That's right.
The ketchup bottle came down today. What a shame. What a shame.
The Yinzers were protesting down there.
Tough for the ketchup bottle. So I'm taking the Swamp. Now I'm interested to see how the draft. This is not what I wanted the number 1 pick in.
This is a draft that's like it's a down year for top heavy talent. There's a ton of 2nd and 3rd round talent out there. I'm gonna follow up with the similar type of pick. I think it's a better pick than the Swamp. I'm taking Death Valley. It's going to be Death Valley down at LSU. No brainer in terms of which of the Death Valleys it is. I just people get fired up for the other one, but I think nothing beats Death Valley at LSU versus Alabama. This fall, there's LSU, Alabama. So it's Alabama at LSU, and then 2 nights later, it's Ravens at Saints. So
quite a
huge potential trip there.
RDT.
I'm going Rose Bowl Stadium. Rose Bowl, you call it the Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl. I mean, it's the Rose Bowl.
It's
Rose Bowl
technically
Stadium.
It's Rose Bowl Stadium. I guess I'm going Rose Bowl. I think it's just such a classic name. Like it seems very classy, just the Rose Bowl. And like we've talked about it before, but you say Rose Bowl and you automatically have that picture in your mind. Like the sunset, the flyover, the picture above of the crowds perfectly split, all that stuff. So I'm going Rose Bowl with that one.
Nickname of the Rose Bowl. Do you guys know it?
The granddaddy of them all.
Granddaddy of them all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kinda
I was like,
wait, is that a
Rose Bowl's
trick
my
question?
Stadium.
I was like, I
No,
think
that was
that's a question.
that was why. Yeah, it's not that interesting of a name.
But I like the name though. It's a good name. After that, my next one. I'll take it. I'll go Camden Yards.
Mm.
I'll go Camden. Again,
Yeah.
it's just call it Camden. People get mad when you call it Camden. I call it Camden all the time.
Do people
People
get
go, "Oh,
really?
that's-
People get mad about
that's
that?
crazy.
It's Camden, New Jersey.
That's bizarre. Who cares?
People get fired up about the Opasi or
Oh
the,
yeah, I
like,
think
when
that's
it's
fine
written
too.
out.
I love that. I'll do that.
fine.
Yeah, I think that's fine. You call it call it whatever.
posse.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Opasi. I'm fine
Whatever,
with that. I
like-
call it.
I
Call it
just more
whatever
mean
you
when
want.
you write it out. But
No, yeah. The people getting mad about calling it Camden. Take a lap.
I was
That's-
talking to Melanie Newman about that because she said something like we're headed back to Camden, and she was saying that she got like tweets of people being like, "That's not what it's called. Camden's a town in New Jersey." Like, shut up, you
Buzz
fucking
off.
losers.
People stink.
Yeah, like
Let Melanie live. That's
Well,
a
even
fine
that's-
thing to say.
call it Camden. Who cares? Like, that's what it's called. It's
Camden
Yard.
Yards, the yard,
Yeah.
whatever.
I don't care.
Opasi.
Like, Opasi. I think we need to start doing that.
Opasi.
Yeah.
Opasi.
Yo,
Let me tell you
going
what,
to
that would
Opasi?
really piss people off. Opasi would really piss people off.
You going down the Opasi?
What about Opaki? Go Hardsea.
Opaki.
Opaki. Heading down to
Just
Opaki.
add a little SVP in there.
Going down Opaki?
Opaki.
Opaki.
Opaki. I like that. I wouldn't mind. One of my favorite things now I can't say before we started this show that I was like knee deep and deep into Baltimore Twitter like you guys are, like, because people tweet at you. You guys are personalities, obviously. So now I've kind of got, consuming. Let me tell you what, people get mad about everything, and it is sometimes kind of fun to just get them going. I mean, talk about just riling people up a little bit. I'm just going to put voice memos on Twitter every day just saying, Opaki. It's going to Opaki tonight. See how mad people get. It's the yard.
Don't call it Camden.
Don't call it Camden. You got Banks.
Man.
Yeah, see, it's a weird draft.
It's a weird one. I'm gonna throw back the clocks a little bit here. I think it's just a name that is unique, sticks out, literally. I'm taking Candlestick Park. I think it's just a great name for a ballpark. Kind of fits the nature of that park, which was tons of wind, just like it is at whatever the new stadium's called. It changes
Isn't it
names
Levi?
multiple times. Is that what they've settled on now?
I thought it was
There's
Levi
so many.
Stadium.
Well, it's two.
Oh, you're talking about football.
Oh
Wow.
yeah.
I was thinking about
no,
it as a baseball stadium, but yeah, it's a great football stadium too. It was both.
The San Francisco's ballparks is Oracle Park right now.
Yeah, because it used to be AT&T.
Yeah,
It was
and
Pac
before that,
Bell.
it was
And Pac
Pac Bell.
Bell,
Yeah, SBC
Diamond
I think was in
Walnut
there
Bowl.
too.
What was
Yeah.
Candlestick?
The Terps played in the
Yeah.
Emerald Bowl against Oregon State.
With,
No, not
with
Oregon State.
6
Cal.
inches, 6 inches of out of bounds territory behind the end zone.
Bizarre setting. I remember watching it in Ocean City.
Why was it called Candlestick? Do we know?
Couldn't tell you.
Because it doesn't sound like that.
Oh, they did
like,
play Oregon State. What am I talking
like a
about? I should trust
sponsorship.
myself. What was
Like
Oregon
it's-
State?
was it a sponsorship? I don't know, but
I get that game mixed up with the one where Christian
Yeah.
McCaffrey smoked us down at.
Oh yeah, down at
Arizona?
Levi's.
yeah.
No, that
Or
was
was
at
it
Levi's. Yeah, that was tough. Stephon
Did we
Diggs
play
returned
one
to
in
kick.
Arizona?
They
At-
played the
at
Humanitarian
Chase,
Bowl.
at the Bob.
Humanitarian and Boise.
play one at the Bob?
Boise. I don't think so. I don't think we've played a game there. We had the one Champ Sports Bowl against Purdue was in Florida.
Military Bowl of.
Yeah, Military Bowl against Marshall. Sheesh.
By the way, I'm watching the Celebrity All-Star game. Bryan Cranston hit Hunter Pence, and Hunter Pence tried to charge the mound, and like Bryan Cranston threw his glove down, and then I think Honcho is now on the mound pitching, and he's tried to hit Bryan Cranston twice, and it's amazing. I
You
crack
call him
up every day.
Honcho? It's Honcho.
Honcho. Sure.
Jesus.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Quavo.
Oh
I
my
get my
God.
Migos. My Migos.
Oh my gosh.
I get all my
You're not,
Migos.
you don't have the captain on?
No, because I'm gonna watch that tomorrow when there's absolutely no sports on.
Mm.
Sorry. to cut you off.
Gonna hate watch the captain?
Yeah, I'm just gonna fucking tweet about how Jeffrey Hammonds was picked 2 picks before Jeter and
Jeffrey
was
Hammonds
the better pick.
I forgot to put the Celebrity All-Star. I have the Celebrity All-Star game recording. It's one of my favorite. I think I've said this on the pod. It's one of my favorite things of the year.
I'll say
the
this.
Celebrity All-Star game.
Jenny Finch, man. She's
Oh my God.
like a fine wine.
You love Jenny Finch. I think we talk about this every year. I think we've talked about this 3 consecutive years on the show.
I'll talk about it for the rest of the time. She is.
I've written her a couple checks in my day.
At some point, we're going to do a dream Baltimore Celebrity All-Star game lineup.
Yes.
I think that'll be a very fun draft. We have that in the offing. I did not look at the Celebrity All-Star game rosters this year, though.
Guillermo is in the batter's box taking selfies, like holding a bat. I don't like any of those late night shows, but Guillermo gets me every time. He is a true king.
I just can't believe they played this game like 5 days ago.
Yeah, this was actually played in May.
Oh, JoJo Siwa came back.
Yeah, she's
The
in it.
Miz
She's
always
terrible.
plays in this thing.
Yeah, the Miz is
always
in
plays
it.
in this thing. Rob Lowe's playing.
Sean Green,
Chloe
only a
Kim.
2-time All-Star. I was shocked he was only a 2-time
Oh,
All-Star.
I'm shocked. I wonder if Lauren Chamberlain's played before. She hits tags.
Yeah. I think she's played before.
Natasha Watley. Andre Ethier.
Yep, he's in
It's an
here.
okay lineup. Action Bronson, Anthony Ramos. It's okay.
Bronson's lost a lot of weight too.
Oh,
I'm
interesting
watching
that the Marrow is playing. The Jesus and Marrow stuff was very, very
I think they're
big on
both in
Twitter
this.
today.
They're both in it.
Wow. Oh, yeah, Jesus is in there too. Interesting. Did you see that stuff? They broke up.
Yeah.
Sad. JoJo Siwa. All right, I have 2 picks here to get this thing back on track that I took off track.
No, I was.
Speaking of track, I'm just gonna go for stuff here. I'm taking Darlington Raceway, otherwise known as the Track Too Tough to Tame and the Lady in Black. Double nicknames. Both of them are fucking sick. The Track Too Tough to Tame is awesome. That's the most Southern NASCAR thing of all time. And I want it on my team, and I don't care if it wasn't on both your boards because I'm putting it on my team.
How good was the rev it up there?
Crank it up. Come on.
Crank it up. Sorry.
Come on. Jesus. Have a little bit of respect.
I passed Dover for the first time 2 weeks ago. That place is massive. That was
By the
awesome.
way, I've been there. By the way, that's a potential pick. That is a great nickname too.
Sorry, I didn't mean to spoil
No,
it.
I don't think it's gonna get picked.
That was fucking really cool. Like I was driving and I'm like, what is this? And I was like, oh my God, like this is awesome.
I think a NASCAR race, if you have the ability to go and you're not like breaking the bank, is worth seeing if you like sports. I think it's just an interesting environment to be in.
I can
as
see
someone
that.
that's been to 2 of them. With this pick, I'm taking Gonzaga, the Kennel. Badass for the Zags. I always thought that was cool. I'm taking the Kennel.
I got nothing on the Kennel.
Mark
The guy-
Hughes probably.
It's the guy that only
enjoyed a
watches
couple-
the big conferences. It's the guy that only
Not a
watches the big
single
conferences.
note on the Kennel.
Mark Hughes probably enjoyed a couple cocktails there.
Oh,
So,
God. He seems like a nice guy. Get off of Mark Few. That's horrible.
DUI
Good
with his
coach.
dogs in the car. Sure. Yeah, sure.
A little Trouty, though, in his inability to win a national title.
Maybe next year's the year they get to a title game.
They have been to one. They should have won the one a couple years ago. Banks.
Absolutely remarkable that this got back to me. I'm taking the Alley Pally. Can't believe you let it slip through your fingers. The Alexandra Palace, home of the PDC Darts World Championships. Darts are awesome. We've talked about it a billion times. Alley Pally, easy pick. Onwards.
RDT.
I am going to go. Where did my list go? Oh man, I want to. Give me the Scotiabank Saddle Dome.
Oh,
Calgary Flames. I mean, I'll just stick with Saddle Dome too. I think. That's
Yeah,
just a
I'm
great
not
name.
saying. I'm not.
I
saying
had such a
Scotiabank
high
again.
grade on that, but I
Yeah.
just played the strategy, not thinking it was going to get taken.
I was reading
Shoot.
down my list. It caught my eye. So yeah, I'm going. It's just a fun word to say.
It's so awesome.
And it's
It's
always
such a great pick.
the ice always looks so weird. I don't know, and I think we've talked about that before. It's either the lighting or the camera angle where the ice just looks different.
It's very shimmery.
Yeah. It's like, again, I don't know if it's LED lights or they do something, but something about that Saddle Dome, baby. So I'll go Saddle Dome with that pick. And then, so I'll have two more left. Give me Sporting Kansas City's original name, Live Strong Park, and they gave out yellow wristbands to everybody.
It's a bit of a tough scene.
I love that. I love that. By the way, I was talking to my friend about this before, but I think we want to bring back Live Strong bracelets. Just randomly start wearing them out.
Did Lance come up on the podcast last week? I feel like we were talking about Lance recently.
We've talked about Lance at some point recently. We talked about biggest dicks in sports. Did we do that?
He was definitely on the alleged steroid user starting five. Didn't we do that?
Have you guys watched the Lance 30 for 30?
No.
It's incredible.
He is so clearly the biggest douchebag of all time.
He's so unapologetic. It's
correct.
It's incredible.
It's a really I think it's worth watching for everybody because everyone has lived through Lance Armstrong with the bracelets and all this stuff. Like it's totally outrageous how much of a jerk he is.
It's crazy.
But also not.
It makes you think about how like maybe 2010 or so, before social media really got to a point where athletes were very much more in a public eye, how PR created images could have been just like existed. And your notion of what a person's like and what they're actually like could be just so crazy different. I think Tiger Woods was the one that really shook everybody to the core. Like, oh wow, like
him and Kobe probably.
Yeah. But
the Tiger one was the biggest one for me.
Yeah. But like, I think because it's such a niche sport that no one gives a shit about, Lance Armstrong, like when we found out he was an asshole or when we found out he cheated, people were like, well, we're not talking about cycling anymore. We're done with that. Like,
Tour de France
his name just got dropped from just people talking about it. The crazy part is
like, obviously, we talk about like someone like Tiger Woods who has totally elevated golf to a level it would not have obtained without him. Like Lance Armstrong was one of the biggest people in the country at one point. Like, everyone had a Livestrong bracelet. He won, a bunch of Tour de France
Michael Phelps,
titles. And he was like totally in a stratosphere above his sport, right? A million stratospheres above his sport, and had one of the great inspirational sports stories of all time, maybe the biggest inspirational sports story of all time. And then it just got totally blitzed by, steroid, doping. He was doping. I mean, steroid use not really the thing. It was like blood doping and EPO and all these other things. But wild, just a wild. I mean, I think it's a 30 for 30 worth watching. It's amazing he participated. He looks like an absolute clown. But I don't know if he has enough self-awareness to know how much of a jerk he is. Maybe he doesn't care. That's also possible. Dated Sheryl Crow too.
Team Sheryl Crow. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Who was the bigger asshole at the end of the day? Lance Armstrong or White Goodman?
I think it's Lance.
Or who?
White Goodman.
White Goodman. I mean, what a cameo that is in hindsight.
But yeah, again, like he was great. People were like, oh, he's so funny. Look at him. Yeah. He's hilarious.
He's a major plot line there. Like he
turned them around. He turned the season around.
He's the hero of the movie.
Yeah. It's a great lines too.
Yeah.
By the way, the Miz just fucking pissed on a ball. Like
I can't wait to watch this later.
340 to right center. My last one. Or no, you said it was me? I just picked mine.
Didn't you have a double pick? Didn't you?
It's a
Saddle Dome and Livestrong Park.
Oh, Livestrong Park. Sorry. We got so deep into that conversation. Banks.
I am going to take KFC Yum Center. It's just an excellent name where it's not a nickname. It's not shortened in any way. It's just corporate sponsorship. We're gonna make this arena sound as dumb as possible.
The Terps will
KFC Yum
visit the
Center.
KFC Yum Center this year to play Louisville. So
Louisville.
That's just we will take the check and we don't care what it's for.
yeah, I
We
believe
will
Yum
cash it.
Brands is based in Kentucky because if you remember, they've been a major
Oh, yeah.
sponsor at times for the Kentucky Derby. So, but yeah, very bizarre name. I am gonna take Aloha Stadium, former home of the Pro Bowl. I always enjoyed that was very on the nose, just being Aloha Stadium. Hello Stadium, or Goodbye Stadium. I'm gonna take that, and then I have to get involved in some sort of soccer way here, obviously. So I'm between two. I'm going to take Old Trafford, otherwise known as the Theater of Dreams. I think that's a very cool name for a stadium. Theater of Dreams. Banks, you have one more.
Did you take two or am I just playing?
Aloha Stadium and the Theater
that's
of
right.
Dreams.
I'm going to take
Brains aren't
Ekman
working
Acres. Ekman Acres. Just a good classic backyard baseball name stadium.
I figured you were. I was waiting for one of those.
Yeah, it was going to happen.
Yeah, I didn't go fictional. I probably should have. I didn't even think about that. All right, finish it off there, RDT.
I am going to go with. We'll go Enron Field. Just a great. It was
That's
a good
funny.
name. It was a very good name early on. Separate the. What do they say? Separate the blank from the blank. Like. We're just gonna do that. Enron Field is just a good name.
Didn't want to take PSI Net Stadium.
No, doesn't do it for me.
Some honorable mention. Well, let me go through them. Excuse me. The Swamp, Darlington, which is the track Too Tough to Tame, the Lady in Black, the Kennel, Aloha Stadium, and Theater of Dreams, otherwise known as Old Trafford for me. Banks took Death Valley, Candlestick Park, the Alley Pally, otherwise known as Alexander Palace, the KFC Yum Center, and Ekman Acres. RDT took the Rose Bowl, Camden, the Saddle Dome, Livestrong Park, which that's funny. I'm glad you went into MLS there. That's awesome. And then Enron Field. This I really probably just should have taken. The Bird's Nest from Beijing, the Water Cube from Beijing were two I thought of taking. The Smoothie King Center is a ridiculous name for an arena.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought about that.
I had the Stadium of Light, which is where Sunderland plays in England. That's literally the name of the stadium.
My buddy told me to take that. He said, "Take this.
Yeah.
Take this name."
Stadium of Light. Madison Square Garden's a cool name for an arena. I have that. The arena for New Mexico, known as University Arena, otherwise known as the Pit, which I think is sick.
Thought it was the Mike Loxley
Basketball.
basketball.
And then I had some tracks. Rockingham, old NASCAR track called The Rock. You talked about Dover. That's the Monster Mile. The Brickyard, otherwise known as Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So had some tracks in there. What do you guys got?
I just want to note that there was a point in time where it was called Raven Stadium at Camden Yards. So.
Forgot about that. I remember you pointed that out. I think, and you've talked about that before.
They should have called it. They should have called it Opacky.
There's just not really our stacky. It's kind of how it plays out there.
Our stacky.
I like it.
Yeah, our Stacey. I don't know.
Honorable mentions for any of you guys?
Super Colossal Dome is where the Backyard Baseball Championship is played.
Right.
I had a lot of domes. Saddle Dome was my favorite dome, and then once I didn't get that dome, I was kind of over the domes. But I had Alamo Dome. I think that's a great name. Astro Dome was also on there.
Yep.
King Dome.
Sky Dome.
The
problem is so many of those
Coors Field is an easy one too.
So many of those are gone. Like I wanted to take Sky Dome. I just now think about it as the Rogers Center, which is so freaking sad. What a sad name.
Silver Dome. kind of hanging out there still.
Yeah, we probably missed on the domes. Those are probably some misses by the group there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably
I
deserve to
had
be
a lot
on
of
there.
domes. I just wanted the Saddle Dome, and then like it was very much a you come into it and you play it from there type of draft, and you kind of went one way with it, and I jumped in with Death Valley, and then I just kind of never steered my way back to the dome. So, that was a little bit of a miss on my part. And I should have taken Super Colossal Dome over Ekman Acres. I kind of biffed that one. I'm playing hurt.
You went under slot. You went under slot with that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. That was a senior sign.
Yeah.
I had you guys are gonna kill me. Three Rivers. I think that's a cool name.
No, that's Three Rivers is cool.
I think it just fits.
Yeah, it's fine.
Cole Fieldhouse, obviously. Cole.
Yeah.
Castle.
Call it Suf if you want. Tiger Stadium, Coliseum, Big House, Mile High. I love Petco Park for some reason. I just like seeing it.
Yeah, Petco Park.
San Diego. Arrowhead. I had Superdome, Saddle Dome, Great American Ballpark, and then Kingdome.
I'm gonna just say it. I did a horrible job in this draft. My head was just not in it. We didn't scout that well. I just think my draft stinks. I'm looking at my draft. I'm looking at hearing the honorable mentions, looking at mine. I could have taken so many better things. Do like Aloha Stadium. It's a bad job.
Like that one too.
I apologize to the listeners. The Swamp is kind of a shitty pick at the top of the draft. I just having
I couldn't believe that, to be honest.
Well, can I be frank with you? I did not want the first pick, and I saw I had the first pick, and I panicked. I just straight up panicked. I had no composure. I just didn't want to have the first pick. This is where, like, as opposed to like last week where I wanted the first pick to get Barry Bonds, or the week before to get the Mouse at the Palace, I would have loved the first pick in those drafts. This draft, best left-handers. That was the last one I had the number one pick on. It's just a bad one to have the number one pick it.
It's almost as if
best three name people. We should go back and do that again.
It's almost as if we give you the bad ones on purpose.
Yeah, like athletes you wouldn't want in your fantasy league was my number one pick before that.
Who'd you pick in that one?
O.J. Simpson. Oh, maybe Lance Armstrong was in that. Yeah, I picked him. Yeah. I picked Lance Armstrong. There you go. That's why we talked about him. Oh, RDT picked the entire Ravens front office. One of the worst picks in the history of the draft. I took Jay Mariotti. These are kind of fun to look back on. We should do a full draft and look back at some point. Just go through the best and worst picks in the history of the drafts.
We can do that.
Nick Cantor Medley, Maryland Person of the Week. RDT.
Got to go with my new good friend, Cal Ripken Jr. That's just a no-brainer.
You guys texting now?
No, but I'm going to meet up with his son. We're going to have a talk. And his son, Ryan, recently retired from the game of baseball and wants to get into some sports media, blogging and podcasting and stuff like that. So Cal asked me if I would talk to him. I said, yes, sir. We can do whatever you want. Maybe dinner at your house.
Did you stutter like you just did?
Yeah. Yes, of course. I said maybe dinner at your house, maybe like out on your boat or something. Like we could, whatever you want to do, sir. So, yeah. No,
I hope you finish every sentence with sir.
No, I don't think I called him sir. Just called him Bud.
That's his teammate, Sydney.
Oh, yeah, he's sir. I can't call him Sir Sid. I mean, no, but the crab feast at Jimmy's was awesome. Cal is legitimately the man. Like, he was the nicest person. He told a lot of cool stories too. We'll have to dive into some of those later. I'll tell you this story. I had asked him if he blamed Brady Anderson for striking out. I said, do you blame Brady for swinging at that last pitch when you were in the on-deck circle? And to the crowd, he goes, would you blame Jeffrey Mayer, 12-year-old Jeffrey Mayer, for reaching out and grabbing the ball? And I cut him off, and I was like, yes, absolutely, 100%. And he goes, no, you blame the adult, Richie Garcia, for making the wrong call. And he goes, I don't blame Brady for striking out on a letter-high fastball. I blame my manager, Mike Hargrove, for batting me 7th in my last game ever. He goes, I didn't bat 7th all year. He goes, you knew it was my last game. We were out of it. The Red Sox were out of it. Why don't you bat me first? And he just goes, I blame Mike Hargrove. And I was like, well, there you have it. There you go. So, yeah, it was. We got a lot of good answers out of him. The pictures were crazy. I love the pictures. They're so good. And then, yeah, it was just wild because, like, I'd snap out of it and look up and be like, Cal Ripken is drinking a Bud Light right next to me, answering a question that I asked him, and his foot is resting on my chair, and we were just shooting the shit, just two guys at a bar. It was very cool.
We've that was really, it was like very cool to see all the photos that came, because it's like very apparent how much that meant to you. So
I was legitimately nervous the night before, like could not sleep, like was tossing and turning, and then like meeting him and all that, like he could not have been nicer. He made it very easy. Like his answers were perfect. Like he was not because I was like, am I gonna have to break him out of his shell? I don't know how he was gonna react to some of the questions. And also it was like, what do you ask the guy that's been interviewed a million times? Like I don't think I asked him one street question. Like my first question to him was, I go 21 years ago. I said 21 years and 2 days ago, was that the first time you ever openly wanted to disobey your manager on a field? And he looked at me like, what is that? And I go, it's when A-Rod and Joe Torre made you move from third to short. And he was like, oh, I didn't know that was 21 years ago. And then he went on like a whole rant. He told me he hated Tony La Russa because he was like, I fucking hated him. And he says, because I used to wear him out. And he said La Russa plunked him one time. And he said he kind of looked at him and La Russa was like, you're killing us. And so he said for the next 5 years, he goes, like, I made it a point to absolutely just kill Tony La Russa. Like any team he managed, I was going to like murder them. And then he said, he was like, he came up to me in an all-star game and like apologized. And he was like, I kind of was like, all right, whatever, it's done. But so I want to go back and look up his numbers against Tony La Russa teams, because he was like, I just wore him out. So it was awesome. And like I said, I mean, it went by super quick. Like it was an awesome night. It was very, very cool. So shout out again to Johnny and Jimmy's for letting me do that. I don't think I embarrassed myself too much.
I don't think you did. The best part, like in our group chat, you sent us like what shirt you should wear, like you were going out on a first date. It was awesome.
I sent that to multiple people, being like,
you're like, oh, should I wear this hat? Like, which hat should I wear? I was like, oh, this is awesome. He's so nervous.
Our buddy JJ, who's gonna be down here, he said, I should have worn a shirt. I should have made a shirt with my face on it and given it to Cal, so it said like, this isn't weird, because I was wearing his face on the shirt, you know. But yeah, it was very cool. It was awesome.
Thanks.
Hopefully a future guest too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Taking flat sticks. It's all about the putter out there this past weekend at the Open Championship. Cameron Smith was unbelievable on that back nine. He was unbelievable on Friday too. I mean, he poured in like a 90-footer, made like 250 feet worth of putts or something. It was just an awesome championship to watch. Those guys play a golf course that's existed for 500 years. See that course somewhat hold up to today's game. I mean, the conditions weren't that crazy in terms of wind, but it was there and it was firm, and they tucked those pins in, and the guy still shot 20 under. But still, 20 under is like, you know, it's tied for lowest score to par in major championship history, but it wasn't like the Tournament of Champions down in Hawaii where those guys. Cameron Smith shot 35 under at that tournament earlier this year. But anyways, just a great tournament through and through. It was tough to watch Tiger kind of struggle his way through it, but he got his send off as he rightfully deserved. Tough story for Rory for sure. Looked like it was his to be had, and he just kind of got it taken out from under him. And he didn't have the flat stick. He just couldn't make anything on Sunday. So that's what Winter Links golf's all about. It's all about lag putting. It's all about making putts. And Cam Smith, just like, I can't think of a more Links style, like iconic shot than that putt that Cam Smith hit on 17. And then the subsequent par make that he makes, just rolling it up that ridge, like next to the bunker. Bunker's sitting right there. He goes in the bunker, he's out. Like, he doesn't just like lose the shot. He's out. He loses. There's just no way he wins if he just nudges that ball.
Yeah. If it goes in the bunker, he's probably got to
hit
out
sideways. Or if it just hits something, if it just hits a imperfection on the slope where it just kicks it to the left into that bunker, he's done. Like, he's probably not getting up and down. So just Link style golf. It's different. It's fun. I love it. Great tournament. Great finish, great champion. Hopefully he doesn't go to live.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. I was rooting hard for Rory. Rory has totally drawn me in The guy is just awesome. He's a straight shooter. He shows you everything, and the whole crowd was behind him. It was an amazing tournament to watch. Cam Smith's awesome, and it sucks that like 5 seconds after it was like, oh, he might be getting offered $90 million to go to live, or 110 million or whatever the current number is. That's kind of state of golf right now, which stinks. It stinks, but that why it stinks so much is because there's so many exciting young players. It's like the first time ever 4 guys under 30 won the 4 majors. I mean, the game couldn't be in better hands from a talent perspective, but from an organizational perspective, it might not be in worse shape in terms of where it's going or where it may go. So, but that was amazing. And that might be one of the best venues in sports, period. I just totally elevated everything that was going on, the history behind it. And there's just not many places in sports. It's like watching a game at like, it's not, but it is like when a game's at the Rose Bowl, like the Rose Bowl at the Rose Bowl, you're like, oh, this is like means something. When the national title game's at the Rose Bowl, it's different than when it's everywhere else. When the British Open is at the British Open, the Open Championship is at St. Andrews. It's different than all the other Open Championships, even though all those other venues are awesome too. Like every single place they play is pretty awesome. But when it's there, it's just a totally different scenario. So
I can't think of many other examples where a sport has a rotation of where things go, and that venue means more than the rest. Like Rose Bowl is probably the best example, like you said. There's, I mean, U.S. Open wise, like maybe Pebble Beach, maybe Oakmont, but not on the same level.
Yeah, it's not on the same level.
It's just not even comparable.
The cool part to me, because like you were talking about the venue and all that, the pit. I love the pictures from like, here's the Open in 1934 on the 18th, on the 18th green, and the big building in the back. Like, here's what it looked like then, and then here's what it looked like today. Like, I thought those pictures were awesome, and yeah, again, I mean, it's a very neat course. Again, it's just for the people who don't watch golf as much as you guys do. It's like I feel like it's shocking to them because they're like, oh, that's not the golf course I'm used to seeing. But yeah, I watched Saturday and Sunday, and it was a lot of fun to watch. And again, I thought like you guys, I thought it was Rory's weekend, but Sunday was not.
It's also tremendous because it's like things that keeps like I love getting up and watching the final group tee up at 9:50 and that thing being over at 3:00. That was freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it's like how like English Premier League and F1 almost are great because like you just watch them in the morning when you're not doing anything and you just like don't feel like you're wasting like not that I also love championship golf that ends at 6:37 whatever it is, but like just like getting out of bed, throwing my breakfast on and watching like the 4 or 5 final groups all tee off, at the old course. Just you can't spend a morning better. Like you just really can't. It was awesome.
Yeah, they actually do it every year and nobody pays attention to it. It's at the end of September, so it's during football season, but there's a tournament called the Dunhill Links Championship, and it's just like the Pebble Beach Pro-Am where they play at 3 courses and they finish with the old course on Sunday. You can wake up on an NFL Sunday and watch the old course and watch a tournament finish at 10, 11 a.m. and then roll right into football.
I can't wait to do that.
Like people should be more into that, I think.
Yeah.
And really that whole stretch.
As our entire sports interest moves into watching things between 8 a.m. and noon, this is going to be a great development.
Correct.
Shout out to Formula One. I am going to take USA track and field, which is absolutely fucking back. We swept the 100 meters. We'll see a Jamaica. Men's 100 meters. The Jamaicans swept the women's. But we'll absolutely see a Jamaica. U.S. men are back. Fred Curley, the champ, gold medalist. We're winning in shot put. We're winning in pole vault. We're winning in freaking everything. We're just winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. And the rest of these other countries are on notice for Paris 2024. The track teams are coming. We need to find some faster 100-meter women. That was we just were nowhere near the Jamaicans there, but everywhere else we are just on top of it. So shout out to USA Track and shout out to Hayward Field, which is the track and field complex at Oregon, where they have like made it into like a track and field palace just sitting in Eugene, which is kind of crazy. So I was very excited about that. The Devin Allen thing that got a lot of press last night, the false start, that was horrible.
Is he the Eagles guy?
Eagles wide receiver, runs the 110 hurdles, but even with him out, we won the silver, and even with him out, fastest time in the world this year, and the U.S. champion who didn't make the final because he fell, still got the gold and the silver. USA Track.
Was
Shout out to
Jeremy
Ryan
Bloom?
Murray.
What did Jeremy Bloom? Oh, he was skiing.
Yeah, he was mogul skiing. I'll take a lap.
That's on
Oh
me.
my gosh.
I was just thinking of Eagles wide receivers that did other
Mm.
stuff.
I think the last really good track to football back to track. I think Marquise Goodwin went track to football back to track.
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah, I can see that.
So we'll see if Devin Allen comes back to track when he goes to football.
Another
DK
Texas-
Metcalf tried it.
Yeah, did try it. Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
did?
That was DK Metcalf.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He got smoked.
Yeah. So I'm taking USA Track. I've had fun watching that the last couple of days. Watching a little track and field. Track and field. It's summertime. We got track and field. We got golf. We got F1. And we got
Yeah,
baseball.
there's not a lot of golf left. There's just 3 really crummy regular season events, and then the playoffs are shortened to just 3 events nowadays. So
Yeah.
Live time, baby.
And it's
Live, laugh, golf.
there's a lot of live golf in September and October, unfortunately.
Yeesh.
And they go Thursday through
Pre-
Saturday. It makes a lot of sense. So
President's Cup.
yeah. Yeah.
We'll see what
I
that
mean,
looks like.
Like if Cam Smith goes to live, he's not gonna do that. And then that
And Hideki.
Hideki's in the field this week in Minnesota, believe it or not.
That's interesting.
It is interesting. He's been rumored like the entire time, and it just hasn't happened. So
The only thing it does make sense for Hideki, and I guess for some of the Australian guys, like if you're Hideki and you can play the live events and then your other events you play are on the Asian tour, that makes a little more sense for him. If he's gonna if he lives in Japan.
And he's like he and Cam and
as I show a
get a
clear
little
example
bit
of
of,
sports washing
like,
working.
Kepka and DeChambeau. There's a handful of these guys are kind of immune to some of the vehicles by which the PGA Tour are trying to like box out these golfers because they have exemptions into the majors because they've won majors recently. So Cam Smith has a clear runway for the next 5 years worth of majors. Plus he can play the British Open for the Open Championship for until he's 60. So he's kind of got it made.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's going to be very interesting to watch and develop as we go through. As Alex Morgan scores a penalty in a game right here. Love Alex Morgan.
Talk about another favorite.
Oh, boy, geez. RDT, get a grip.
Just saying.
My gosh.
Big fan.
Any honorable mentions from you guys?
Home run derby.
Yeah, I do love the home run derby. I was
So
going to say
good.
the same
Yeah.
thing.
It's
Good every single year.
It is it always it may have a stinker of a round or two, but every year it's awesome. Like
By the way, great job by Major League Baseball putting Pujols in it. Put an old guy in it every single year. Put Miguel Cabrera in it next year.
Well, I mean, I when I blogged it, I said Schwarber has a bye into the second round. Like, thanks for coming, Albert. Like, this is a charity case. It's like he won it in the silent auction. Like, all right, let him come in. He'll hit some home runs, and we'll get
what
out.
you do, it's like boxing. What you do is you match up the old guy against a young pup, and you let them get the rub. It's like wrestling. It's like boxing. Get the rub off the old,
passing the torch.
discarded champion. Give me pass torch moments. That's just good social media. That's just good manufactured content.
So like,
And they had great stuff tonight. They had great stuff with all the guys like hugging Pujols. I mean, that shit was great. Other than Pete Alonso, who was doing deadlifts in the gym in the back, but everybody else was, Manny Machado's out there, being the Pied Piper of all the young guys. It was fun.
Tiger Woods waving at Rory on his way out of St. Andrews.
Yep.
Tiger did the same to Jack.
That photo of Tiger and Jack is an amazing photo.
the one on the bridge.
Of
Or
like
that-
him,
or
of Jack like walking up sort of like to the clubhouse or whatever, and Tiger like standing on the number 1 tee. That's an amazing photo that I saw on Twitter this week.
Yep.
Amazing photo. The stuff with Tiger, I was going to give an honorable mention to Tiger. I don't care how poorly it went. That moment of him at on 18 was all time. I hope it's not
chunk
the
into
last
the
time.
water on Thursday to open the day was just so tough.
The person whose divot that was should be kicked off the tour, Doug. That was, I mean, that's just there should be, but also he should be able to lift and replace that. Like,
they should make him eat his divot.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
They should find the remnants of it and make him eat it.
It's insane. And if that's like one of those clowns like Poulter that put the ball over there for that divot, like I mean, live, laugh, golf.
We know
I
it wasn't
I hope he
Poulter
gets
because he duck hooked it off the first tee.
Yeah. Oh, true. That's true. That's right. That's right. Live, laugh, golf. Have fun in Riyadh, you clowns. What a joke.
I had a buddy who they went to some golf tournament in like the 90s, and John Daly hit a divot, and they went over and they picked up the divot and he brought it home and he grew it. He put the grass, like the divot, he put it in a thing of water, and they were like trying to grow the grass, and they eventually wanted to put that grass in their backyard and like make it the John Daly like grass. I just thought that was such a funny move. They just picked up the divot. They picked up the divot and put it in their pocket.
Whoever. So apparently the iconic scoreboard at the Open Championship, it's not very well guarded because some fan ran up to the top of the bleachers and just plucked Tiger Woods' name card off of that thing and took it home.
Like you had said about the Bentley sign
of it.
How the hell did he get that out of the venue?
I don't know. It's a public park.
Yeah. No, I get the easy access. I'm amazed that like someone was just carrying that.
He walked to his car with it under his arm.
Yeah,
and security.
Like, are you kidding me? Maybe honestly, maybe nobody. Scotland, maybe they're pretty chill. Maybe nobody cares.
It's probably about 2.5 feet.
It's one of those
so
like
you can hide in a shirt probably.
You stick it down the leg of your pants or something like that and just walk straight legged. But that Banks, that's like the Bentley sign that you tweeted about. Like, oh, this is hanging up on some frat house wall right now.
No
like
doubt.
But the Bentley sign is like wrecked, so they'd have to put it back together.
Yes, after seeing that original photo, more photos came out, and the sign itself fell and broke in half.
Yeah.
Not to say it couldn't be fixed.
Sure.
But, yeah. Old Course is awesome. Tremendous weekend of Open Championship golf. It stinks that the majors end this early. It's July 19th. We should have another major. It's just stupid.
I know.
I want to see. I want to look for that course on PGA.
Thank God we have the FedEx Cup.
They should move the Players Championship back out of March. It's tough to play this time of year in Florida.
Yeah, you can't play it. Yeah,
East Lake is not that far north of Jacksonville. Like the Tour Championship should be at the Players.
Yeah, they have not done a good job making the Tour Championship feel like anything.
Yeah. East Lake's a cool course. Like they should just move that in.
Cantlay was playing last year, I was like, whatever. So yeah, Nick Kinder, Medley, Maryland, person of the week, things of the week. That'll do it for this week's episode of the X52 podcast. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media channels at X52 podcast on everything: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all of them. Follow Banks at Barstool Banks. Follow Eric at EDITTI22.
Send me well wishes.
Yeah, send Banks well wishes. Tweet nice things at him. Give him good vibes.
Everyone tag Banks and send him well wishes. Please.
Yeah, send him some shows to watch.
But also thank him.
Yeah, thank him for his service. Yeah, you should definitely do that too. Make him feel good about himself. Happy half birthday to me. You can follow me at Towers My 10 to celebrate my half birthday. And that's it.
Oh my God.
All of our sponsors: Fed Thrill, Jimmy Seafood, Thread Level Midnight. Did I miss anything? We got everything? Cal Ripken Jr.
Friend of the pod.
Officially a friend of the pod. Officially a friend of the pod. We'll see you next time on the X52 podcast presented by Jimmy Seafood.